Phoenix Engineering didn't start with a grand plan. It started by doing just solid technical work and getting known for it. As demand grew, the challenge became which projects to take, how to price them, and how to avoid being buried in the wrong kind of work. So Phoenix built systems inside the firm to solve those problems. One to control demand through marketing, and another to extend capacity through a trusted vendor network. Those internal solutions became Phoenix Technical Marketing and a nationwide partner ecosystem within Phoenix Engineering. I'm your host, Roman Massey, and this is the first episode of The Phoenix Show.
My dad taught me that if the good Lord gave you the skills and opportunity, that you were morally obligated to help people, that you were put there for a reason, and if not, you who. And that's kind of how Phoenix got its origins. Our customers needed help and wouldn't take no for an answer. You know, I never really intended to start a business, but customers needed me and offered me money to help them. And I had a new baby at the time, and I knew that my skills and that people needed my PE license. And that's really how we got started. And that business just kind of was there for a long time, you know, helping me pay the bills, take care of my family. I got to spend time with my kids and coach their teams and do Cub Scouts and camping and all those cool things. And then as my kids got older, suddenly they don't need you as much. And I realized that there was a calling to help more people. I had noticed that one of the failings in my dad's business and many of the customers that I worked with was that they didn't charge enough money because they didn't have enough customers and weren't able to tell the bad customers no. So I set out in some business groups to talk through the problem and how we could fix it and how we could get too much work. And that's really how marketing and marketing services got started. We realized that if we had too much work, we could say no. And imagine what your business would look like if you could eliminate 80% of your problems by firing the worst 20% of your customers. So we built an amazing marketing machine that brought in way too much business, and it gave us opportunities to charge more and make more so we could help more people. And Shane had come on at the time because he wanted to run his own business one day. And I thought, well, the easiest way to teach him how to do that was to let him run parts of this business. At the time, he was our operations manager, and he saw the explosive opportunity that we had over here in marketing and began to take it over and kind of shape it into the monster machine that it's become. We eventually spun it off into its own business that Shane's running, Phoenix Technical Marketing. And now they do tons of work helping small businesses and engineers and fab shops find lots of work from customers that pay them really well and have lots of opportunities. This created a whole new opportunity for us because now there's all this work that we couldn't do, and we didn't want to let these people down because they needed our help. And talking to Shane one day, we realized that we really needed a badass to kind of help us in operations and maybe even help us figure out what to do with all this work that we had coming in. And Shane said he just happened to know a badass, and her name was Heather. So she's now running our vendor department. And so what we've done is we've taken all the engineers and the people that we used to be competitors, and we've turned them into vendors that help our customers. We handle the front end and find the work and deal with the customer and write the proposals and collect the money, and they get to do the cool part, which is the work, right? The engineering, the technical, the inspections, the reports. And in doing this and helping these people that we couldn't help before, we began to realize that making connections was now what we needed to do. It's kind of like the Amazon platform where people go to one spot to search for something and they can buy it from a lot of different people, or several groups of people can get together that might not be able to do it on their own. And now they could do it as a group to solve like a greater overall problem. So now we've created an opportunity to help even more customers, and our customers are helping customers help other customers. And that's pretty cool. Our customers have become vendors, our vendors have become customers, and everybody's better because of it. Now we're working on all the other parts of the ecosystem, helping welding shops figure out how to run their books so they manage their cash flow and they don't run out of money for payroll, helping newly licensed engineers manage their licenses and create their initial branding and websites, helping large customers take their products all over North America. Phoenix Technical Marketing is helping companies get an incredible ROI on their marketing spend so that they can have more customers and raise their prices and have raises for their staff and greater opportunities for their business. And it's really a cool thing to be a part of once you get everyone to understand that a rising tide lifts all boats and that we're all in this together. You begin to see the power of community and of helping other people. And now we all can answer that call that moral obligation that my dad used to talk about, that if given the skills and opportunity, we should help people.
I'm super impressed that you guys have built like such a powerhouse of a business ecosystem. I was reminiscing after our talk the other day, Shane, about how when we met, well, I think it was when we met, 2021 Mastermind Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when it was? Zane brought you along, and
I don't think we knew each other before then, as far as I remember.
Maybe just through email or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, Zane brought you along, and I think the context was like Shane's thinking of doing his own thing or starting something up, and he's just here to get a lay of the land. It was like, so like, what is this going to be? What's Shane going to do next? The context is just crazy because now talking to you this week and seeing how far you guys have come and how many people you have working inside of this marketing company that was spun off from the engineering firm, to look back to 4 years ago where you were like, I think I want to do something. What might it be? And I mean, that feels like yesterday. It's insane. Can you like kind of tell me how that all came to fruition, from like the inkling that you might want to run your own thing to, you guys coming up with this idea internally and the whole thing spawning off?
Yeah, like even before I joined Phoenix Engineering, like I knew I wanted to start a business. I just didn't know what, right? So when Zane and I initially talked, we talked about, what that business could be and what Phoenix Engineering needed. So my first goal in coming into Phoenix Engineering was just to help them grow and scale. And, did that for, a year and a half or 2 years before we ever even started the marketing company. And, Zane asked me along to BNP because he knew what my aspirations were. And I knew going into BNP, like the reason I was there was to get perspective on what other people had done to make money. Because I come from a background where I knew no one that was a successful business owner for the most part. So I had all of the right education and background, but did not understand like how people make money and how these businesses work. So that's why I was there. So, in talking to a lot of people at BNP, I really started to understand like, the ways they went to market and the types of businesses that works and how they made them scalable. And so the last day at BNP, like I just sat down for like 3 hours and drew up the structure for Phoenix Technical Marketing based on, what all those people had told me and what we already knew to be a massive gap in the market, right? Because at that point we had already, changed the game for Phoenix Engineering in terms of the way that they were doing marketing in so many ways. And we had already talked to partners like that were working with us and for us that we knew they had no marketing, right? Because I mean, even just partnering with other engineering firms, like you find out that like their work they're doing is so low value and they have such pain in the butt customers. Like, we knew what we were doing at Phoenix Engineering was very unique, but I don't think we even understood the extent of the gap in the market until well after we started the marketing company. So BNP was kind of the impetus of, all right, let's turn this idea and gap that we see into an actual company. And then from there, we started bringing on our initial customers and doing a ton of split testing to take something that worked really well for Phoenix Engineering and then turn it into a more standardized, scalable process that could work for any engineering firm. And then from there, hey, can we apply this to fabrication shops and other high value services in the construction market?
Now, I'm super curious. Obviously, every engineering firm, they have marketing. They know they need to be good at marketing. How did you guys pull it off? What was so unique about maybe your guys' team makeup or your guys' background that you were able to kind of crack the code to marketing engine for technical trades?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I think what's unique about us is that we have a deep understanding of the industry and really just a background that allows us to understand what engineering firms do, and not just Phoenix Engineering, but a lot of different kind of engineering firms. Like we have a background in structural and mechanical and electrical, industrial automation, in software. Like we get construction and, manufacturing, industrial markets. Like we understand all of those things, and those things allow us to target like no other marketing firm can target. Like when we first came into Phoenix Engineering and we looked at what they were doing for marketing, it was so generic, right? The leads reflected the general targeting that was happening, right? They were going after, just general engineering leads. So it was a lot of residential, a lot of inspection work, which are not really the things that Phoenix Engineering do best. So when we changed that and we targeted everything at what they really want, I mean, the rigging, the commercial and industrial MEP, skids, like industrial work. Like when we really started getting into the details of those and figuring out how to effectively target those companies and those applications, like that's when our, percentage of valuable leads skyrocketed. And we were able to not necessarily even produce a higher volume of leads, but a lot higher quality leads that the sales team could then go start converting.
Well, and I'll speak to that some as well, Roman. I think the biggest part of that was everyone says they can help you do marketing and nobody can because they don't understand who you are and what you do. And being engineers, we engineered a system to do what needed to be done, right? We were some of the first to be out there doing ad spend, to be out there collecting money up front. We were kind of trend setting and bucking up against the old guard of how it had been done for 30 and 40 years, right? That just doesn't work anymore. The world has changed completely, and it's changed, 3 or 4 times since then too, right, Shane? But we figured out that we weren't the experts. We were experts as engineers. So we went out and found people who were really good at these things that we knew that we needed, and we got them to help us. And I think that's the big thing that we've got to get across to the older generation that's still there, still working in technical industry, and the younger generation is you're not on your own anymore. You can get help. You don't need to know how to do everything. You don't need to know how to run a business. You just need to be really good at your craft. You need to be able to weld really well. You need to be able to fabricate really well. You need to be able to engineer really well. We can handle the rest. There are plenty of people that can help you build out your marketing, your content, your sales, your estimating, even putting together business services to run your books and manage your cash flow. All of those things we can put together. And that's one of the things we've tried to do with our ecosystem is handle all of that so that the engineer can keep engineering, the welder can keep welding, the fabricator can keep fabricating. Because you're not in this alone and you don't know how to do it. And please, please, please don't waste your time trying to figure it out, right? Keep doing the engineering. That's what we don't have, right? Don't do CAD. We've got CAD people. Don't try to figure out QuickBooks. It's a terrible system. Don't try to figure out how to manage Facebook ad spend. Like there's so many experts that are so much better at it than you, right? Wouldn't you want a customer to hire you to do engineering and not try to figure it out on their own? So why not use that same application to all the other things you need in your business?
Totally. And this is a great time for us to introduce Heather, who is in charge of your guys' vendor network, which I think is an incredible concept that you guys have come up with at Phoenix Engineering. Heather, can you tell us how the vendor network works, how you guys use that to do more for your clients?
Yeah, so we have built out a database of some awesome partners that we get to work with and kind of fill in any gaps that we have with our internal team, things that maybe are not in our wheelhouse or we just don't have capacity to do. We have made some great partners that can fill in there. They can work on the things before we might get a project, do the things after. Maybe we're done with the portion of the project and we're able to help our clients and do more, right? So we're trying to be their easy button so they can reach out to us and be like, hey, we've got this going on and we can do each piece of it. We kind of put the full solution together for them.
And just kind of to add on to that as well, Heather's absolutely crushing it over there. We originally started with, well, what are the things that we don't do? And maybe we need help with those. And then we started to look at, Shane was talking about a minute ago, as we began to filter out the things we didn't do, well, we still had this huge pile of potential customers for things that we didn't do that we didn't want to let down. They're trying to find an engineer. Some have been looking for months. They weren't getting calls back. They were 30, 60, 90 days before they got an answer to an email. And then there was an engineer telling them they couldn't help them. We felt bad for these people and they needed our help. So we wanted to put something together. So now we've begun to canvass the world for who can help us help our customers. And that's one of the things that Heather's managing explosive growth over there. And the number of people that we can help and that can help us. And what's really cool is now vendors are becoming customers and customers are becoming vendors, because the lines really do blur, because all that really matters is that end customer. What do they need? They're trying to build a factory to make things for us, right? All of the things in the world that were made overseas and in other places are all coming home. We need to make glass and chemicals and bread and food and all these kind of things. And all these places are being built out, and there's no one to do the work. And that's really that's what really drives us the most. You know, just as an example, Roman, in the last 8 weeks, we've gotten 5 customers. Their engineer died. He's not there anymore. And that's a calling to us, right? Because no one's coming into the profession. We've got kids that want to star on Instagram and be influencers. We really need you to TIG weld, and we need you to learn how to do civil engineering. Like, that's what we really need in this country. We need your help. We need you to build stuff out. And Heather's kind of the spearhead in helping make those connections. You know, it doesn't really matter what you need. Hit us up. We'll figure it out. You need video editing. We'll hook you up with Roman. You need marketing. We'll hook you up with Shane. You can't figure out your books. We've got a litany of people that can help you with pretty much anything. So I think that's the big part of it, is understanding that we're all in this together, that there's so many of us out there that need help, and you don't need to know how to do everything, because we can get you fixed up. And the cool part is Heather's a badass and can manage all of it and make it super seamless and make it all go away for you.
Yeah. And one thing we've realized in talking to dozens and dozens of engineering firms over the last couple of years is most of them, especially the smaller firms, like, they literally try to do everything, right? And they're very unprofitable at it. So, and you know, they don't really understand the metrics behind, like, you know, focusing and niching down and creating systems and scalable processes that's going to increase their profit margins. So like when Heather goes and looks for a partner for MEP or some, you know, or for civil, for something niche like that she's trying to do, she's not just looking for some random engineer. She's looking for a specialist, right? So what Phoenix Engineering is able to do is, you know, they have internal specialists that are experts in certain areas. And if a lead comes in that's not in their specific area of expertise, Heather probably has somebody that is an expert in that area and can finish that project much more efficiently than your normal run-of-the-mill generic engineer who's never done that kind of project before. And that's the value of being able to, you know, have that kind of network, is you always know someone who's an expert in that area and can knock that project out so that it's a win for everybody.
Well, and the cool part is, like, our internal team is now starting to work for Heather on projects, right? It doesn't really matter who does it. What matters is it gets done, right? That end customer has a need. They need a conveyor system in. They need a plant built. They need something put together. They need an answer now, and they don't have any help. And that's what we're trying to put together. And it doesn't matter who does it. It might be a customer. It might be a vendor. It might be Heather's team. It might be on our internal team. It could be someone we've never met before that's watching this video right now and clicks the button and connects with us right now. Because we're there to help you. Practical, professional engineering services tailored to your customers' needs. That's how Phoenix got started, and that's what we try to build for all of our customers. You know, we've got coverage across the whole country. Heather can talk to this, to some of the capabilities that her team has. You know, we've got an access to a really large network of customers and vendors. And the cool thing is we'll actually call you back and communicate, which, you know, Shane, as you've seen, that's something that's not normally done. Engineers are not very good at communication and working with their customers on the front end, and they don't need to be, because they need to be good at the engineering. Heather, what about your team? What are some of your capabilities and coverage? What are some cool things you didn't think you'd be able to get covered and you actually found a way to solve for a customer?
Yeah, so we can cover, we're nationwide, so got all of US covered, Puerto Rico, all of Canada, and pretty much that's for anything. So if you need MEP, electrical, structural, architectural, whatever that looks like, we've got a solution that is available to us and is ready to help out. We've built some great, we have some great partners that are always up for more work. I'm getting called regularly for, does anybody need help with CAD or MEP, or I have electrical persons always hollering at me for extra work and what's going on. And there's usually clients that are asking for the same thing. Hey, I need MVP. I've got the MVP person reaching out to me. So it's an easy, like, okay, great. Like let's see and make that connection and help that client, get their solution and be able to help them finish out their project. So we're able to kind of dig into all of that. I'm always up for making new friends and making new partnerships because there's always another project coming up. Somebody else isn't going to be able to handle it. This way I have a database that I'm tapping into constantly. And so we look at it multiple times a day. It is always open on my computer because I would need to know where somebody's licensed, what they can handle. And we're able to, take all those leads we're getting from marketing and be able to find the right person to be able to fill in those roles. And then we're, kind of managing all of it, helping the client get all the answers they need, making sure that the engineer is getting the information without having to do the chasing. So I can help be like, hey, or, like I'm the middle person, right? So I get to help collect all that information from the client and get it to the engineer without them constantly having to feel like they have to follow up. I get to do all of that. So I get to kind of stay in the middle and help both sides. We have some really great engineers that really like to do the engineering and maybe aren't so great with being client forward. So, I typically can herd them into a meeting, get the technical information down, and then I can, manage all of that and help them out in that way as well.
Well, and the cool part is we've kind of created the opportunity for kind of an untapped market there. So you have a lot of older engineers that still want to work, and they don't really have a lot of options because they don't want to work full time. They want to continue to help, but they also don't want to go through all the trouble of starting a business and getting insurance and, oh, I need a website, and my sister's cousin can help me with marketing and I don't really know what I'm doing. Why deal with all that? Like, we've got you. Like, if you want to keep working, and I charge you and I challenge you, if you have a professional engineering license and you're not helping us and you are not teaching and mentoring a young gun to take your place, please stop being selfish. We need you badly in this country. We need you for lots of work, and we've got you covered for everything else. All the hassle and the headache and the chasing down your money and all the things that you're worried about that are a problem, we handle that part. We just need you to do the engineering. And then on the other side, we've got a whole small group of young guns that are coming in and about to get their license and getting licensed and kind of figuring out what's going on. And maybe they're working for a monster firm where they get to do the same strip mall 17 times and it's boring as hell, and they sit in stupid meetings all day and it's corporate and they get told what to do, and maybe they don't get to work from home anymore and they're having to return to office. Don't deal with that. Like, get started. Hit us up. We've got small projects for you. We've got work. Maybe you need extra money. You got a new baby. You want to work a weekend here and there. You want to work in the evenings. We've got people all over the world in all time zones helping us with lots of different stuff. Reach out to us. Hit up Heather. Let's get started. And maybe you turn it into your own business. One of the things we're doing later in 2026 is we're doing a live event to show you how to start your own engineering company. And then we'll have all the things that you need, the marketing, the branding, the sales, the estimating, all of those kind of things we can help you with, building out your books, running your systems. So it's really a way for us to tap into those young engineers wanting to get started and the older guys that still want to continue to help, but don't want to work a full-time job or deal with a bunch of nonsense.
This is way too cool. So I'm hearing that there's an umbrella here that is just elevating kind of just business owners of all types. We've got probably thousands, maybe more, of engineers, people in the technical trades, some of who I like to call accidental business owners, where they became really good at something and then they realized they needed to expand, and then suddenly they're running a business and all they wanted to do was the thing that they're trained at, and now that's the last thing that they're doing. So you guys are helping solve that. You guys are helping connect these thousands of engineers and technical tradespeople who don't have enough work to the thousands of companies who need engineers and technical tradespeople, but when they look, they can't find anybody. And then when you're providing the work through your guys' vendor network, that's kind of the proof of your guys' marketing engine.
Rowan, I like the statement. So, you can work with Phoenix Engineering two different ways, right? So one, you can work with their vendor network. Like if you're a PE or an engineer, right, and you want to do contract work on the side, it's a great program because Phoenix Engineering handles all the mess for you, right? All the complex stuff that you really don't want to handle as an engineer, like they take care of that. And, you do cool work that you want to do and you get a paycheck for it. It's simple, right? But if you have an engineering firm, you're looking to grow, you're looking to scale, it's a whole different thing, right? And in those cases, we can still help you, right? You can come talk to us at Phoenix Marketing. We can get you leads. You can talk to, the business services department at Phoenix Engineering. They can help you with accounting and taxes and all that stuff that, typically like engineers don't really want to handle or really aren't efficient for them to handle, right? The best thing that we can do for this industry is keep engineers doing what they do best, which is engineering, and just handle everything else for them so that they can crank out as much work as they possibly can without, having to deal with all of the things that they're not efficient at.
And you see that a lot with the early businesses and entrepreneurs, right? And you nailed it there just a minute ago, Roman. They end up doing everything else instead of what they're good at. And that's the part that we've got to fix, right? They don't need to figure out how to run payroll. They don't need to figure out how to send a proposal and chase someone down and call them 15 and 20 times and show up in their childhood birthday photos. Like, we can handle all that kind of stuff. Just do the work. That's what we need. That's what the end customer needs. They need their plant built. They need their product fixed. They need their component figured out so they can do it at a lower cost, so they can compete and they can sell it around the world, because we need that product. That we're not going to stop needing stuff, but we are in a spot in the world where we're stopping building things in other places. The demographics around the world are not amazing. They're pretty good in North America. We'll still have customers. We'll still have people that can do things. The problem is we don't have the industrial base. We moved it out, and now we've got to move it all back. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot more trucks. There's a lot more talk of building power plants. There's a lot more groundbreaking in industrial parks. There's a lot of stuff going on. Drive through anywhere in the state of Texas right now, and it's crazy. There are so many buildings and so many companies and so many things going up. And what do every single one of those need? They need everything, dude. They need surveying. They need a foundation. They need a design. They need to figure out how to get water and power and all those things to their plant. They need to build their machines. They need to figure out how to get their personnel in. They need training. They need business systems. They need all of those kind of things. And that's what we're trying to help. And we might just be a small piece. It's the old story of the guy on the beach, and he throws a starfish back into the sea. And another dude's like, "What the hell are you doing, man? There's like 10,000 starfish out here. You're not going to make a difference." And you're like, "Well, I made a difference to that starfish," right? So I think that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to be there for people. We're trying to help them and let them know that they're not alone, that we've got them, and whatever it is they need, no matter how crazy, hit us up. And there's some really crazy things that Heather's found solutions for, and our group has found solutions for, and we have a massive network of customers and vendors, and somebody out there can help you. And the cool part is, if we can't, we'll tell you, and then we'll tell you what we can do next, because we're not going to leave you alone, and we're not going to leave you just hanging. We're not going to ghost you. We're not going to disappear. We are going to answer the phone, and it's going to be okay.
And that's one of the great things about the network too, is being able to provide that whole solution, not necessarily just under the Phoenix umbrella, but in terms of connections. Because Phoenix Engineering, can do a ton of different types of engineering, but civil is not one of the things that you typically do internally. Like, Phoenix Marketing, like, we have civil engineers, we have electrical, we have architects, we have drafters, we have fabricators, like, we have mechanical contractors, right, to install industrial work. We have DAS companies for communication systems. We even have software companies that we work with. So, really any of Phoenix Engineering's customers that need something, there's a decent chance that, we've got those customers in our network, and we only work with good companies. As a marketing company, just like Phoenix Engineering, we're able to say no, if we don't feel that, someone we talk to in a sales conversation is going to be a good customer or going to act with integrity or able to deliver on what they're promising. So, our customers, we vouch for them and we recommend them without hesitation, because we know they are good at what they do, and we like being able to make those connections for other customers in our ecosystem. I went to one of our customers' Christmas parties, a few weeks ago, walked into the CEO's office, and there was a stack of papers, of a contract with another one of our customers' logos on it. And I asked him, hey, what are you doing with those guys? And they had just given them a 6-figure project for a development, and they found them online through our marketing. So one customer found another customer through the marketing that we do for them, which is amazing, right? But we also like to just manually make those connections and make sure good companies are working with other good companies in our ecosystem.
Well, and that's a big push for us in the coming year, building out those AI models to make those connections, to find those root nodes, to find those people that can help each other. And one of the things we're trying to put together really strongly, and Heather's kind of being a lead on this, is building the entire package. If we have a customer that does railing and a customer that does playgrounds and a customer that does fountains and a customer that builds apartments, well, why don't we get them together and build a community, right? We'll add in an architect, we'll add in some surveyors, we'll get some banks together to do some financing, and then we'll pitch the whole project to a GC or an owner. Maybe we can do the entire thing. And that's what I say. There's nothing too big or too small. Hey, I got a leak in my roof. We probably can't help you, but maybe we can hook you up with somebody. Hey, I need an entire new apartment complex built. Hey, we can probably get you to somebody and figure that out. I was having a discussion with a potential customer vendor yesterday, and he was apologizing because they only do $50 million projects. That's what I say. It's never too big. It's never too small. We've probably got a solution for you.
Well, I was thinking is we hired Tammy to do an MEP project, but then Tammy hired the drafter, which is Rowe from another one of our vendors. So it's like we put the vendor solution, we had our partners because Tammy ran out of time. So one of our MEP engineers was doing more of her drafting. So she was the one getting into CAD and doing that. But she ran out of time because we had more projects than she could handle if she was the one doing all of the drafting. And so we were even hooking up our partners together. So she needed a solution to do more drafting, to get more things out of her door. And so we're like, hey, we have this really great drafting option, and hooked her up with the drafter. So now she does a lot of work with the drafter as well. And he was another one of our partners. So we're kind of lining up the partners to do a little bit more work, right? To get through drafting, to get through engineering, and then to be able to satisfy the customer's dates, trying to hit all the timelines, getting everything to them in a timely manner. So kind of lined all that up.
It's clear you guys have a team of, fun, smart, optimistic people. But the other side of that equation is always a business owner or a leadership team that creates a culture of creation, of not micromanaging, of creating a space where those types of people can thrive and do things like spin off another business. How do you do that?
Well, I think first off, you got to have the calling, and I talked about that earlier. My dad pushing for if you can do it, you are morally obligated to help people. So you have a calling, and then you have a need. And I think we've talked about that in the world. There's so many people that need engineers and need help and need technical people. And then I think the big thing, if you're going to build something, you need an operating system. And we brought in the Traction EOS system years ago and put it down as kind of the blueprint. And the operating system kind of helps guide us to bring in the right people to ask the right questions. And I think, initially I said the first thing that we did was build out the marketing machine. Well, the second thing we did is we built out our leadership team. And I think the cool part of that is we gave everyone in the company a shot on the leadership team for a period of time. And we just kind of gravitated to the ones that had the right passion, that wanted to be there, that wanted to be a part of it. Some people just want to be engineers and they want to work, and that's amazing, and we need them. And then other people are kind of born to lead, even if they don't know it, right, Heather? And then they step in and they absolutely crush it and they do great things. I think the biggest thing that's helped us from in all that we're doing is accountability. And it's not just us internally. We hold each other accountable. We get into each other pretty hard, and we do it from a position of love, because we're trying to grow and help and make each other better. And I think we do the same thing for our customers. Shane mentioned it earlier. We'll tell you no. We'll tell you if we can't help you. And we may even tell you the things you need to do to be helped, right? Maybe there's some things that you've got to improve as a business or your product or the way that you're presenting things so that we can help you and create more work for you. And we're good that we'll tell you those things. We'll be clear with you as to the things that we see that you need based on our experience. Because I think that's the cool thing in that we do. We see so many different businesses and so many different industries that we've been able to take a little bit from all of those and then pass that gift back on to our customers and our vendors and our people internally. So I think a big part of our culture is the entire American industrial backbone. We're a great country. We work really hard. We've got some really cool people. And if you spend time on Fox News or CNN, all you hear is how terrible the world is. And then you go outside and you go on a plant trip and you go meet people in the field and watch them building a machine or a building. And it's actually pretty cool out here. There's a lot of great things going on and a lot of cool things being done by great people. And it's been really nice to be a part of that. And I think that's a charge that we have is we've got to help those people and we've got to push them and we've got to hold them accountable and we've got to make sure that they get some things done. So again, I speak to everyone that's out there. If you're an older engineer or technician or welder or pipe fitter and you're not helping us even part-time, even an hour or two a month, if you're not training someone and you're not mentoring someone, quit being selfish. We need you badly. I know you worked hard. I know you built a great country and you did a lot of things for a really long time and you deserve your time off, but we need you. We need you. And it's a moral obligation. You have that skill, you have that ability, and we have that need. Can you get in here and help us?
I want to add to the leadership part. I always thought it was great because from the very first day that I've been a part of Phoenix, it was like, what do you want? Just start doing it and just take it. It's like you see a need, you just fill it, you run in and grab it. You just gotta have to be willing to help the clients, be willing to help each other, and the opportunity's there if you're wanting it. So you just take it.
We're a huge forgiveness instead of permission culture. Now, if you screw up, we'll give you hell about it, but it's from a position of love. We'll hold you accountable. You got to spell people's names right. You got to, check your content. You got to make sure things are technically correct and all those kind of things. But the other part of it is, and Heather, I think you've been a big person of this. We push you really hard to fail really fast and really, really big. Like we want you to fail so bad that we name it after you. And if I go back to kind of the origin story, Shane actually worked for us as an intern. He's already smiling because he knows what I'm going to tell here.
I actually just told this story 2 days ago.
As an intern, Shane had some trouble on some projects and had some things that kind of got marked up. And we created what was called the Wall of Shane at the company. And so anytime you had a major, incredible, holy cow, that's a major mistake, it got put on the Wall of Shane. And, I think we still had it up until a few years ago when Shane came back in the building and shut that shit down.
It was incredibly motivating to look up above my monitor and see all my mistakes in life. I mean, I feel like that needs to be put in some kind of book about trauma or what not to do to motivate your employees.
Well, I think it helped, and it helped me understand because at the time, you're probably right. It probably wasn't the right thing to do for a young gun. So what I've tried to do over the years since, and I'll give one example. I was teaching at the local university for a while, and I made sure in every single class that I made a mistake. I wanted the students to see that it was okay to mess up and you could recover and no one's infallible and no one's perfect and no one's a complete expert in everything. We're going to fail. And the thing is, in engineering and technology, if you're pushing the envelope, no one's ever done it before. So you're going to fail. That's a part of what we do. That's the cool thing about what we do in engineering. So don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, I don't know. Don't be afraid to, as Heather said, step forward and give it a shot because no one else is, right? One of the greatest books in engineering history was written because no one else would do it. So Shigley wrote Mechanical Engineering Design, an amazing book that has helped been the core of engineering design philosophies for almost 100 years now. Great dude. Sometimes you just got to step forward and take a shot at it and don't be afraid to mess up and make a mistake.
And I think that's one part of the Phoenix engineering culture that we've taken into Phoenix marketing too, is just, being extremely honest with customers, maybe even too honest at times about, hey, when have we failed? How have we failed? Why have we failed? If a customer asks me in an initial sales conversation, well, what's your success rate? I'll tell them what our success rate is. And I'll tell them, hey, this is what causes this process to fail. And sometimes it's things that they do, or sometimes it's things that we didn't know that we learned along the way. We're better for it. And I think customers appreciate that, rather than a sales pitch that says, oh yeah, we're perfect. We're right 100% of the time. That's not true for anybody, especially when it comes to engineering, and being able to have controlled fails and really learn from those failures is really important in any business.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing with all of the work and things that are needed right now. So I've been working again in the sales department in our company. And so I'm on the front lines trying to help customers. I was talking to a guy the other day. He's like, hey, I've got $3,500 for a budget and I need it next week. And I was like, well, you're going to be extremely disappointed because we can do it for $11,000 and it's going to be sometime in late January. And he's like, all right, put me on the list, because he doesn't have any other choices, right? There's no other spot to go. He needs the help and he needs it done. And that's one of the things that Heather's trying to fill in. We've got people scheduled for work already in February and March and April. And here it is, start of December. And she's going back and trying to find spots that we can cover those customers sooner. We need more people. We need more help. We need more engineers, more technicians. If you got any inkling of any skill set, of anything that you can do at all and help us with anything ever, now is a great time to hit the button and connect with us.
So really, if you are somebody that needs engineering support, somebody that's technical, you need help, reach out to us. We'll find somebody or connect you with somebody that can help there. Or if you are one of those technical people or engineering, in anything like that, please reach out to us and we will hook you up with some work as well. So we'll stick you in our database and be able to get you some work on what you do best.
So for any business owners watching who need marketing, who want a marketing engine like Phoenix Engineering's, how do they get a hold of you, Shane?
Yeah. So if you're an engineering firm or fab shop or a mechanical contractor, or really, any company that's in, construction or industrial type work, and, you either need leads or you're not happy with your internal or external marketing company because they don't understand what you do, reach out to us and we'd love to help.
Awesome. And Zane, what do you need and how can people get a hold of you?
Well, Phoenix Engineering is our main site. I'm also on YouTube, Zane Engineers Life. If you just need help or you need somebody to talk to your kid who's about to graduate school, there's some great, interesting stories that are put out there. I actually have a resume destruction that I think we're doing later today, where we have a kid come on and post the job he's looking for in his resume and his LinkedIn, and we absolutely demolish it. What do we really need? I just need anyone that can help us to come help. If you're an older engineer and you're retired, it's time to unretire, dude. Like, we need you a couple hours a week, even if it's just to write up an old white paper of what you did or tell a story that can inspire a young gun to get started in the profession. We need more mentors. We need more help. We need more things done. So come out here and join us. It's a blast. We get to do really cool stuff all the time. I was flexing John Cena the other day because we did a last minute for their event for the John Cena retirement match. So I was all fired up getting that done. And what's funny is we had no chance to do it whatsoever. So we reached out to our vendor network and found someone that was available that absolutely loved the WWE, and they crushed it that day and got it done for a customer. They had spent days waiting on someone to even call them back. Not only did we call them back, we got them a proposal, we got them into the system, and we got the job done in their stamp paper by the end of the day. That's pretty awesome, because John Cena is amazing. All right.
This industry moves forward when the right people are connected to the right work, and when technical professionals are free to focus on what they actually do best. If you'd like to work with Phoenix in any capacity, check out the links in the description below. And if you find this series useful, please like, subscribe, and share so more people in the industry can find it.